Hello everyone and welcome back to November on the Cozy Chair. Can you see our tree? It's getting some more leaves on it. I need you to comment down below. Tell me what you are thankful for or what fun things you are doing this Thanksgiving to show that you're thankful for people. So today, in my envelope, I have what I am thankful for. It's not what, actually. It's who. It's somebody that I'm thankful for. I am thankful for Helen Keller. Do you know who Helen Keller is? Helen Keller is one of my heroes of all time, and today I'm going to read a story for you just about her. So this is I Am Helen Keller by Brad Meltzer, and it is illustrated by Christopher Eliopolous, and I love their books. They are this series called Ordinary People Changed the World. Well, you know what? Helen Keller did change the world. And today I'm going to be reading this for Kira. Hi, Kira. I hope that you like this book. Kaylee loves this book and thought that you would like it too. I am Helen Keller. I am Helen Keller. When I was little, I was just like you. I loved to play, I loved my dog, and I loved seeing all the bright, beautiful flowers. I also loved copying people. At 6 months old, I could already say, "Howdy, how'd you yourself? Tea, tea. Did she just ask for tea? How'd she do that? What can I say? There's no stopping her." On the day I turned 1, I started walking. Oh, and there was another word I loved. Wah-wah, here's your water. Just like any other kid, right? But there's one thing that made me different. When I was 19 months old, I got very sick. The doctor said I wouldn't live. I did live, but the sickness made me blind and deaf. This is how I see the world. Close your eyes and block your ears. I couldn't see anything or hear anything. That's right. Nothing. I know it seems scary. It was scary for me too. Back then, people didn't know how to deal with someone who was deaf and blind. My relatives thought I was a monster. You see the way she behaves? She put her hand in my plate. She ate my food. Wah, wah, wah. She's trying to find her water. She threw the silverware too. She's so poorly behaved, she shouldn't be here. Oh no! They were right. I wasn't well behaved. I was extremely frustrated. In my dark world, I couldn't tell if anyone noticed me or cared about me. I couldn't see or hear what I was doing. But by the time I was 5, I'd figured out small ways to communicate. To say yes, I nodded my head. For no, I shook it from side to side. To say father, I motioned to put on his glasses. For mother, I rested my hand on my face. For my baby sister, I did this. Look at her. And when I'd shiver like I was cold, it meant Helen wants ice cream. Isn't that neat? She learned all of those ways to communicate, even though she couldn't hear and she couldn't see. But even with those signs, I couldn't get my dog Belle to play with me. I didn't know how to speak, so I couldn't call her. I just wanted to play with my dog. The saddest part was I got used to a dark and silent world. People told my parents to give up on me, that I'd never be good at anything. They didn't listen, though. After reading about another blind and deaf girl, my parents found something they hadn't since I'd gotten sick. Hope. This says there are places that teach blind and deaf children. That's what she needs. She needs a teacher. We all do. Everyone needs a teacher. Still, I had no idea what the world was about to bring me. I never had a more important day. I was 6 years old. From the way my mother was hurrying, I knew something big was coming. I stood on the porch waiting, feeling the sun on my face. Someone approached. I could feel footsteps. I reached out thinking it was my mother. She pulled me into her arms. Her name was Anne Sullivan. She's the teacher who changed my life. In one of her first lessons, she gave me a toy doll. After letting me play with it, she spelled the word D-O-L-L into my hand. Can you feel the letters D-O-L-L? I could feel them, but I didn't know what letters or words were, or how they worked. It didn't stop Miss Sullivan. One day we were arguing. She was trying to teach me the word mug and water. I got so upset I took my new doll and smashed it on the ground. I got angry. I got angry a lot back then. It was so hard for me. I was so frustrated. Never losing her patience, my teacher took me outside. At a nearby spout, she put my hand under the running water. On my other hand, she spelled the word Water. Then she spelled it again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Water, water! Oh, look at her! Do you understand, don't you? You understand! I understood. I love that picture because look, now it's night. It took her all that time to learn what Anne was teaching her. From there, I realized that everything had a name. Every object I touched seemed to burst to life. And now, when I wrote words in my teacher's hand, I had someone who could understand me. Do you see all those words she's writing? Mother, lamp, table, father, sister, teacher, dog. When you're learning something new, it's often hard. I started with words. My vocabulary grew fast. Eventually, I learned the meaning of the word love. I had given my teacher some flowers, so she spelt into my hand, I love Helen. Confused, I asked her, what is love? It is here, she spelled while tapping at my heart. I was still confused. It was hard to understand something I couldn't touch. It made no sense. Why couldn't my teacher show me love? But then she explained. You can't touch clouds, but you can feel rain and know how happy flowers are to get watered. That is how love is. You can't touch love, but you can feel how happy it makes you. There, in that moment, my whole world changed. It was as if there were invisible lines that stretched between me and everyone else in my life. Close your eyes. You can feel it too. Your connection to your family and friends. Still, life was never easy. Without sight, I couldn't see people's faces. Without sound, I couldn't hear their voices. But one of my greatest breakthroughs came when I learned to do what you're doing right now. Reading. Read without eyes? How's she gonna do that? You'll read with your fingers. On this cardboard, you'll fill raised dots. The dots make letters. The letters make words. This is the word for doll. To practice, I'd match each word with its object and make sentences. This was my favorite game. We played it for hours. See if you can find the sentence. Girl is in the wardrobe. Can you see that game she's playing? She's putting all of those words all over. This says dog is smelly and sister is pooping. Doll is on bed. And look who's here. Girl is in wardrobe. From there, I started reading real books, just like you. The only difference was my books were in Braille, which is a series of raised dots that you read with your fingers. Go ahead and try. Move your pointer finger over the dots below. Can you see this? This is called Braille. This is the whole alphabet. And what they do is they run their finger across, and they know that these form different letters. And here's the whole map. Isn't that neat? That people that can't see, they can still read. At first, it just feels bumpy, right? You'll get used to it. These dots spell my name, H-E-L-E-N, Helen. Want to read your name in Braille? Here's the alphabet. There you go. Now you're reading just like me. If you get this book at the library or on Amazon, then you can fill those dots for yourself because even in this book, they're raised. To make reading even more fun, my teacher took me outside. She knew I loved feeling the sun on my face and smelling the pine needles. I read my book so many times I wore down the raised dots. There were the Arabian Nights, Robinson Crusoe, and one of my favorites, Little Women. In those pages, I met brave boys and girls who could hear and see. One of Miss Sullivan's best lessons came when she showed me how plants grow. Fill these buds. Some buds open fast, others open slowly. A flower can only bloom if it's watered. When I was 9 years old, I wanted to learn how to speak. Even Miss Sullivan was worried about teaching me. She thought I'd get frustrated, but nothing would stop me now. To help me, Miss Sullivan took me to a teacher named Sarah Fuller, who would put my hand to her face and let me feel her tongue and lips as she made each sound. Yes, Helen, feel each sound like the vibration strings on a piano. In an hour, I learned the letters M, P, A, S, T, and I. Ma. See if you put the M and the A together. Now I could call my dog and she'd come to me. At my 7th lesson, I spoke this sentence, the one sentence that I'd repeat over and over. I am not dumb now. Now, dumb means that you can't see and you can't hear. So she's telling everyone now, I am not dumb. As I got older, I didn't just learn to speak English. I learned French and German. For college, I wanted to go to Radcliffe at Harvard University. Maybe she would wait another year. Deaf and blind people don't go to college. I'm going. Look at her. She is just so determined. I wouldn't argue. There's no stopping her. That's what her teacher is saying. At Harvard, most of my books weren't available in Braille, so Miss Sullivan spelled out many of the textbooks in my hand. That's how much I loved learning. And that's how patient and selfless Miss Sullivan was. I became the first deaf and blind person to earn a college degree. I wouldn't be the last. As I grew older, I wrote 12 books and visited 34 countries. But the most important thing I did was to make sure that other people with disabilities could get the same education I had. Do you see her? Here she is speaking. My family had the money to hire a private teacher. Not everyone is that lucky. We need to give every person an equal chance. There she is. She's so strong. Today, thousands of deaf and blind students enroll in university thanks to the work that Helen did. Riding a horse? How did she do that? That was only the beginning. I didn't just help the deaf and blind. I started fighting for social change, to help women vote, to help the poor survive, and to help people who needed it most. She was one of the earliest supporters of the ACLU to fight for free speech. She was also one of the first supporters of the NAACP to help Black people get equal rights as well. She met every president from Grover Cleveland to Lyndon Johnson. But let's be honest, they met her. Do you see her meeting all of these presidents over here? Isn't that neat? Today, the American Foundation for the Blind and Helen Keller International continue to help the blind and hungry. In my life, they said I was different. They said I'd never be normal. But the truth is, there's no such thing as normal life. Every one of us is like a flower that must be watered. Every one of us is full of potential, and every one of us can overcome obstacles. Look at me. Hear my words. I may not be able to see, but I have vision. I may not be able to hear, but I have a voice. Think of your life as a hill that must be climbed. There's no correct path to get to the top. We all zigzag in our own ways. At some point, you'll slip, you'll fall, you'll tumble back down again. But if you get back up and keep climbing, I promise you'll reach the top. Don't let anything hold you back. Our lives are what we make of them. There will always be obstacles, but there will always be ways around them. I am Helen Keller, and I won't let anything stop me. Isn't that such a neat book? Isn't that such a neat story? She says, oh, and one last thing. Go say thank you to that teacher who helped you when you needed it the most. Can you think of someone in your life that has taught you something? I want you to go tell them thank you. You can tell me about it or don't tell me about it, but make sure that you go thank a teacher in your life. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope you'll come back soon. Goodbye.